Hello everyone and welcome to Fever Pitched, the hottest stories of the past week from our RSS feeds. Now this is episode 3, although it's the first video edition that we've done of this column. The first two episodes, or first two columns, are on the website actually, and you'll find links to them on the show page. Now a little bit of background, how did this column come to be? Well, most people who ever used Google Reader used it for its sharing features, and I did too. I shared links and things that I found in my RSS feeds to share with everybody on Twitter. So I had a system developed where I could share the link on Google Reader and it would eventually get fed to Twitter. Well, the problem is, as everyone knows, whoever used that, Google Reader removed all their sharing features off of the system and tied it to Google+. Well, that lost me my ability to share links with everyone and get our tweeted links that we send out every day. So I went on search. I tried to find an appropriate program that would do everything that I got from Google Reader, allow me to read my feeds, and allow me to share things with everybody on Twitter. And ultimately that led me to a program called Fever. Now Fever is an RSS reader program that is a set of PHP scripts. And they're self-hosted, so you have to have your own website, and it is SQL database, so everything's stored in a SQL database. And then you just browse to the directory that you installed Fever in, and it shows you your RSS feeds, and then I have the ability to click a single button there, share it with put it into an RSS feed of its own, which is then picked up and sent to Twitter and shared the links with the Twitter followers. So I've got that in place. Well, one of the neat features of Fever is that it also will group together all the stories in all your RSS feeds because they're stored in a database, and it presents them on a page that's based on a thermometer scale. And that's where we got the name Fever Pitched. And what it does is the more sites that on your feeds that write about a story, the higher up the thermometer scale those stories are going to appear. So, I was thinking about highlighting those stories once a week, and that's where I came up with the idea of the Fever Pitched column. So, what we do is everything's based on the thermometer scale. So the higher up that scale, that means more people wrote about it, and that means it's one of the hotter stories across all of your feeds. So it even allows you that if you don't have time to read every feed by item, it allows you to glance really quick at it's adjustable to a day, 2 days, 3 days, for whatever length of period you have data for to be able to see your feeds. So I now use that to tell me what were the hottest stories across all my feeds for the last week, and I typically do this Wednesday to Wednesday. Well, here I am now with the first video-based episode of Fever Pitched. So let's talk a little bit about what stories were the hot stories this past week. So we'll start off with the top one, and that was with the fever of 110.5 degrees, and it was the stories about the Windows Store. So yesterday out in San Francisco, California, Microsoft announced details about the Windows Store, which is going to be an app distribution model very similar to what you see on Windows Phone 7 and the other app stores that are available for other platforms, for developers to be able to get their software in there, and users will be able to have the Windows Store integrated into Windows 8 and be able to find applications that do what they need and can fulfill a service, and then download them, easily pay for them. At the briefing for Windows Store, they talked about the developer model, the revenue sharing, and a whole lot of other details. And then one other little tidbit they shared was that the Windows 8 beta, the public beta, which will be out in late February of next year. So that has a lot of people excited, and a lot of people wrote about it in the top story in our Fever Pitched stories this week. Our second talked about story, or the second highest fevered story on the list at 108.6 degrees, was all about the new Xbox 360 dashboard update that came out yesterday and is currently being distributed. So a lot of excitement around that. There has been a preview going on with a select set of testers, and then yesterday they were supposed to release it at 10 a.m. That generated even more traffic because it didn't make it on time. In fact, it was several hours later when it was finally started on its distribution. But it's now out there and it's going around, and it is really geared towards the new Metro style interface, very similar to Windows Phone, and it really does build on TV and entertainment apps and things like that to turn the Xbox into much more of an entertainment center than it ever has been before. So very hot story there. And then our last one with a fever of only 102.4 was about the SkyDrive update that came out a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry, not a couple weeks ago, but last week. And a little issue that cropped up about 24 hours later. Now they added a lot of functionality to SkyDrive, gave users more ability to share their information a little easier, such as pictures and photos and documents no longer have to be shared by directory, they can be shared individually. You can rename things right in line, so you don't ever have to leave what you're doing in the directory to rename a document or something like that. They've improved the sharing features and sped it up overall. But unfortunately, about 24 hours later, they discovered there had been a slight glitch, that any documents that somebody had on their Windows Phone 7 Office Hub, the names had changed on the server due to the upgrade. So what happened was they had to take and fix the names on the phones themselves, and they gave some instructions on how to do a reset. People's data was not lost, it simply no longer was connected with the right name. So it was a very simple fix, and that was taken care of with an article on their Answers website and forums. So that's the top 3 stories for this past week. First time delivering them to you on video. Now each week we won't give you all the background, and we won't share how we got here and how we got Fever going and where we get the stories from. We'll just share the featured stories and then let you follow into the website, click on the articles, and we'll have links to all the sites that wrote stories about that particular story. So make sure you visit WindowsObserver.com to check out Fever Pitched Episode 3. Thanks.